We are deep into the summer, but that's not going to stop me from talking about the games that I played in the first half of the year. There are some notable omissions that are being saved for other videos, but without further ado, here is my thoughts on some of the games that I played in spring or the first half of the year. Also, there will be some spoilers for some of the games talked about. I spent this spring playing a mix of new 2025 releases and games that have been in my backlog for years. After playing Split Fiction and loving it, it was about time I finally played 2021's Game of the Year, It Takes Two. Boasting a better story than Split Fiction and gameplay that is just as good, It Takes Two stands toe-to-toe with Split Fiction. I wasn't able to capture gameplay for this game, so I'll just be showing footage from the trailers rather than showing the specific level or gameplay mechanic. Every level felt like my new favorite level. The art direction is beautiful, and Hazelight really understands how to make co-op gameplay fun. The Cuckoo Clock and Snow Globe levels were probably my favorite in the game. Figuring out how May and Cody's abilities work to solve puzzles was so satisfying, and the minigames were perfect for letting you and the other player face off in competitive games. My friend and I would do best 2 out of 3 for each minigame, and almost every minigame went to an intense Game 3. All in all, It Takes Two is one of the best co-op games of all time, and you should totally play it if you haven't already. On the surface, A Way Out is nothing like It Takes Two. While It Takes Two was dealing with divorce, it was set in a colorful, almost Pixar-like world. A Way Out is a more realistic Prison Break story. A Way Out was Hazelight's first game as a studio, and you could see some of the gameplay mechanics that would help define It Takes Two and Split Fiction. However, it felt like A Way Out was more focused on telling a compelling story rather than making a fun game. Don't get me wrong, there's fun here, but it's more of like a cinematic kind of fun. There's more on-rails sequences and quick-time set pieces in the game. They have some fun minigames, but nothing to write home about, and for a game called A Way Out, it certainly felt like the prison break part of the game was overlooked as you escaped the prison in the first 2 hours of the game. It may seem like I hated this game, but I think it is more of a result of playing Split Fiction and It Takes Two first, where in those games the creativity and gameplay mechanics are so impressive. A Way Out does have some awesome moments, like the hospital chapter that has some stealth and a fun action-packed escape sequence, and the twist ending was awesome. Letting you and the other player face off against each other in a 1v1 to determine which ending you get was a genius choice by Hazelight. All in all, I did enjoy my time playing, and it didn't overstay its welcome, but I would recommend playing A Way Out before their more recent games. Sometimes you start playing a game out of curiosity and quickly realize it's not your jam, but you finish it anyways because it's not too long and for some reason you just want to know how the story ends. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is not a great game. It's not a good game. I wouldn't even say it's an okay game. This is a pretty mediocre game. The story primarily focuses on 4 teenage girls in the summer of '95 going on a self-discovery adventure, while also having present-day chapters that slowly unravel what happened in the past. There is a heavy emphasis on music as the girls are part of a punk rock band and they play together and everything. Lost Records is an adventure game akin to Life is Strange or Telltale games, so it's pretty light on actual real-time gameplay. The main gameplay mechanic has you using your camcorder to record locations, characters, and other things to capture all of your memories. You kind of take these memories and put them into like a home video kind of style to watch it after each chapter. I really liked the filter used during recording and mostly played the game exclusively in this way. But that's really the only aspect of the game that I liked, as the rest of the game was bogged down by a story that had a pointless supernatural element to it. It had a horribly written antagonist, and for every moment where I think the game looks beautiful, it would be ruined by some terrible performance issues. This game felt like it was horribly optimized and has some of the worst facial animations in recent memory. Just like basic stuff like lip syncing being off, just really emotionless faces. It felt like an early 2010 adventure game, poorly covered up with half-decent looking textures. I understand that I'm not the target audience for this game, but still, I think you should do yourself a favor and skip this game. Next up is a game that I would not recommend you skip, and that is Blueprints. But this is going to be a quick one. I plan on playing through the entire game at some point this year, but for now, all I have played is kind of 3 hours during a Sunday afternoon. Not necessarily like my full-on thoughts about the game, but let me tell you, from the 3 hours that I played, this game has that special sauce. Blueprints is a roguelike puzzle game that has you trying to reach the mysterious Room 46. You start in the lobby area of this mansion, and every door that you open will prompt you to draft the next room to enter. You'll pick from 3 rooms, and each room will have specific items or loot that will potentially help you advance further. You have a limited amount of steps you can take before you run out of energy and have to end the day. There's so much to keep track of, and it seems like everything has a purpose. So much so that the game will actually recommend that you use a notebook to keep track of your findings and info you learn. I barely scratched the surface in regards to progression, but I was already starting to see how complex a run can be, and I can't wait to get back to this and complete it. Next up, you need to play Titanfall 2. Trust me, you need to play Titanfall 2. It is one of the very best first-person shooter campaigns I think that has ever been made. It has fun, fast-paced action, a great relationship between the main character Jack Cooper and his Titan BT-7274. It has beautiful visuals, jaw-dropping set pieces. Titanfall 2 has it all. The gameplay here is split between Cooper fighting enemies as a pilot, which involves jetpacking around, wall running, and constant movement while running and gunning, which is a ton of fun and feels great to control. And the other half of gameplay consists of you stepping into your trusty Titan BT and turning into an unstoppable force that combines power with agility, letting you move around the battlefield as any of the 6 different Titan classes that all play differently and are suitable for different battle scenarios. The gameplay really shines during the Titan boss fights that have you duking it out with an enemy boss Titan. This boss Titan will enter the battle with flashy graphics that pop up on the screen, letting you know that shit's about to get real. Figuring out which Titan is best suited for each boss fight was tons of fun, and outmaneuvering the bosses was a thrill. There's a good variety of missions in this 5 to 6 hour campaign, and I especially love the mission Affecting Cause, where you are in an old research facility and you obtain a time-altering device that lets you change from the present to the past at a moment's notice. You can change at any point in the level and will fight different enemies depending on which time you're in. The layout is different depending on which time you're in. You also use it to solve fun platforming puzzles, and it is one of the more creative missions that I've played in a first-person shooter campaign in quite some time. The climactic mission, the fold weapon, was so cinematic, so badass, starting out the mission with a special pistol that auto-locks on enemies as you speedrun your way out of enemy captivity and reunite with your Titan for one final showdown with the enemies. All of this is awesome, but it would feel so empty if it wasn't for the fantastic performances from Cooper and BT. You really feel their bond grow at each passing mission. BT kind of has this like Optimus Prime effect where when he talks you can't help but feel like inspired and ready to run through a wall for him, and the game makes you care about a robot and even trust him with your life as he puts you in his hand and asks you to trust him as he throws you like a baseball through the air to reach your destination. It doesn't seem likely that we'll get a Titanfall 3 at any time soon, but that doesn't stop Titanfall 2 from being a must-play. Switching gears, we return to the co-op genre with Revenge of the Savage Planet, a fun little 3D action-adventure Metroidvania-ish game with some platforming and a lot of collecting. Gameplay-wise, this feels very similar to a Ratchet & Clank game minus the Clank portion. I would say Revenge of the Savage Planet is a good game, not a great game. I think it is a your miles will vary kind of game. If you're playing it by yourself, you might get bored, but if you have a buddy, I think there's fun to be had in this game. Going around the 4 explorable planets is mostly fun as you find and scan items to upgrade your character. You use a whip to capture enemy animals to display at your home base and complete a variety of story quests. I think the game does a poor job at pushing you in the right direction, as we constantly found places that we couldn't yet reach. We also were constantly getting upgrades and items that would make the game react by saying like, oh wow, I didn't think you'd be able to get that item without a suit upgrade, but good job. So it kind of had us questioning if there was any point to getting upgrades instead of just going after the main quest and side quest. When we finished the game, we beat it without unlocking a glider, which felt like a really important item to get in a game all about exploration and collecting items and stuff. And the story here felt like a really bad Adult Swim commercial, as we would be watching a cutscene just confused by what we were watching, but it felt like we were in too deep to stop watching. All that being said, it is a fun game, it is a charming game, there's a fun art style to it, and it's definitely worth checking out on Game Pass or grabbing during a sale. So do yourself a favor, check out Revenge of the Savage Planet whenever. And then there's Elden Ring Night Rain, a game that is so fundamentally different from Elden Ring that maybe they should have just called it From Software's Night Rain. My favorite part of Elden Ring and the rest of the Soulsborne games is the exploration. The feeling of getting lost in an area only to stumble upon a key that opens a locked door that helps you get right back to where you started. You know, that interconnectedness of all the different areas helps you get immersed in the worlds that FromSoft create. So to have Night Rain have none of this is part of the reason why so far Night Rain is fine. It's a game that is fun in the moment, but I'm not really itching to play. Night Rain is separated into 3 nights. The first 2 nights follow the same core loop. You go to churches to increase your healing, and you go to different locations to take down bosses and find more powerful weapons and items. You and 2 other friends or randoms will hopefully work together to take down these bosses together as the time passes. A deadly circle will begin to close in and force you to move towards the middle of the map, so the circle is really small and you arrive at the boss arena. Depending on which Night Lord you pick, you will get different possibilities of bosses to fight, and these bosses are returning from previous FromSoft games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls. The Night 1 and 2 bosses is where I feel the game is at its best. The bosses here feel better balanced for the level you are, and it's just fun to fight them with your teammates. Then we have the Night Lords. These bosses were specifically made for Night Ring. It feels like you are doing a challenge run when you fight them because they are so spongy and they hit you like a truck. FromSoft bosses are supposed to be these intense dances, where you have to learn the attack patterns and figure out when is the best time to attack and punish the boss. Perfectly timing your dodges and managing your heals and stamina, instead of a thrilling battle, you get a boring slog. And for a game that feels like Elden Ring on 2 times speed, it's jarring to hit this brick wall at the end of every run. Usually, the saying is get good kid, but in Night Rain, it's more like get lucky, because you're just going to be hoping for the RNG to be in your favor. Yeah, and that's like my whole thing with Night Rain is I don't really like feeling rushed. I don't love the progression in the game, and overall I don't like the repetitive nature of it being a roguelike. And yeah, that's really where my problems lie with Elden Ring Night Rain. Well, that's all the games that I'll be talking about today. If you've played any of these games, let me know what you think about them in the comments. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Mr. Book? So, how do you wake up?
Cody, May,
You're here to fix
your relationship!